Hello, 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 everyone. How are you? Welcome to the State Street Community Church Midweek Update. And we use this time each week, every Thursday at 3:30, to record a half hour to 60-minute podcast where we give you updates on what's happening in our organization. And sorry, I just had something happen in my headphones. But give you an update on what's happening here at State Street and the Pax Center and our gardens and green space, but also what's happening in the world around us, what's going on with us personally, and just have a little bit of fun. Wish people happy birthdays that we know, and yeah. So I want to welcome my esteemed co-host, the incomparable Rebecca Jones Crain. Are you there, Beck?
I'm here.
How are you?
Good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, kind sir.
I wonder if anybody's streaming with us yet. I don't know. If you are streaming with us, let us know, because we'd like to know. It's always fun to see comments while we stream. It comes right to us with this podcast software we use. Well, it comes to me, not to Becky. Actually, I don't even know what you see, Becky, when you're on. Is it just like
I see a split screen of you and me.
Oh.
And I'm going to be honest, I never know where to look, because I feel like I should be looking at you like I'm talking to you, but then I feel like I'm not looking at the camera, so I'm not looking at people if they're watching. So I get very anxious about where I'm supposed to look.
Yeah, countless. I mean, I would say in the hundreds of people have commented how they believe you're rude by not looking into the camera, but
I don't I think more people are kinder than that.
I mean, I didn't want to tell you this on the podcast, but you kind of forced my hand a little bit. That people are talking, so
I reject that. I reject that. I trust our people more than that, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should too. Have a little faith. Have a little faith. You got to have faith. The faith.
Hey, look at we have Diane Carpenter. Hi, Diane Carpenter. How are you? Good to see you. Making some rhubarb pie. It's good to see you. We miss you guys. Hey, Beck. You want to talk about your new additions to your house? Because I think this is really funny. You got a couple new pets, didn't you?
Yeah.
What do you have at your house now?
My oldest daughter adopted 2 lab rats that she was caring for in psychology, behavioral class where they were training rats at Valpo University. And then her job on campus, she had a student job taking care of them. And then they tried to adopt them out, and she adopted 2 of them. So we have Pippi Longtail at our house now, and Tigger.
So
they're not bad. I thought it'd be creepy. The tails are a little creepy, and they're little red eyes, but they're very clean. They're kind of fun to watch climb around. So kind of. I mean,
yeah, you're you keep on saying that. Their tails are kind of creepy, and they have beady red eyes, but they're kind of cute. No, that precludes them from being cute. Beady red eyes. They can't be cute.
White. No white.
They are white?
Yes, okay. Completely.
All right.
One of them's super shy, so.
Okay. How do you know that, though? Do they tell you that?
No, just it kind of hides. It's not afraid of Chloe because she's used to her. But I'll come in the room to see what they're doing, and she kind of hides behind the 2. But the other one comes forward and wants to say hi.
Okay. I'm going to confess something to you that I don't know if I've told anybody this. It's just you and me right now.
I won't tell anyone.
Okay, thank you. So when I was younger, this is pre my mom dying. We were living in our house in Rolling Prairie on Oakdale Drive, and we were there. And my brother, who was in college at IU at the time, brought home 2 rats, and I don't know how he got them. I don't know. He just asked me to take care of them, and so my mom didn't love the idea, but I did anyway, because my oldest brother Ryan was my hero. He is my hero. I love my brother, but and so I put them in my bedroom, and these little rats. I didn't really love them. I didn't, but I wanted to make my brother proud, and I stopped feeding them, and then one day they died.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah. And I never told my brother what happened to them. I told him I did everything right. I never really told him that I just forgot to feed him. And so, Ryan Loucks, if you're listening to this, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't feed the rats. How old was I? 12 or 13, maybe. No, maybe 12 or 13. I mean, so you could probably question the wisdom of giving a 12 or 13-year-old 2 rats to take care of, but yeah.
I would not give my son rats to take care of. He's 14. I wouldn't give him rats to take care of.
I can promise you this: my wife would never let rats live in our house ever. She hates rabbits in our yard right now. So
I know. He'll never want to come over to our house again now that we have rats. So.
Yeah. So tell me, is your week going okay? Are you feeling anxious this week? Or you feel a little bit better? You feel hopeful?
I feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling more hopeful. I feel like not that there's any probably less chaos than there was in the world before, but I do feel that we're gonna get there. So. But anyway, it's time to move on to my favorite section, your favorite section, everyone's favorite section. The reason people listen to this podcast is not for our rat stories, I'm sure. It's for our birthdays and anniversaries. Now, every week, if you don't listen to our podcast, if this is your first time listening, know that every week we wish a happy birthday to the people that we have in our database, which is typically people at our church. Sometimes we come across a name that we don't know that got into our database and we have their birthday and we wish them a happy birthday too. Here's the thing. If we have your address, we'll even send you a card. It doesn't matter, right? And so now I might not put something really personal in there about, time we spent together in Madrid or anything. I don't know you, but I do wish you a happy birthday. So these are important things. What's that?
Have you been to Madrid?
No, but
you wouldn't put that in anyone's card, to be fair.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I wouldn't wish them that kind of, greeting about our romantic getaway in Madrid. So anyway, so we have some birthdays coming up, and I'm going to wish everyone a happy birthday. Becky will make sure that your birthday is great by adding a little bit of Becky Crain pizzazz. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
Our first birthday goes out to Mr. Alan Johnston. Happy birthday.
I've given him a birthday kiss.
Yeah, no, nobody needs to know what you're talking about. Yes, but Alan does kiss us on the cheeks when we see him. And you know who's next? Donna Barony. Happy birthday, Donna.
I miss you, Donna.
I do too. Did Rachel get married? Do you know?
That was supposed to be coming up. I
feel like they
but it seems like it should have. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, one of our favorites, Rita Picardo. It's your birthday, girl.
Yeah, she's so sweet.
Yeah, she's one of our favorites. She really did like you. Which is shocking. Wendy. I'm likable. Wendy Barkow, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Wendy.
Wendy, happy birthday.
Ian John Kine, happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday.
Joe, happy birthday. Oh, don't even. Old Corona Crain back there coughing away. Joe Mueller, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday. Good to know you, bud.
Champ. Good to know you, champ. Hey, it's Kiana Hart's birthday. Happy birthday, Kiana.
Aw, so sweet.
Rick Jesse, happy birthday, Rick.
Hey, happy birthday. Have a good one.
Yeah, Aaron Johnston's birthday is this week. Hey, here's a crazy thing. Aaron Johnston, Alan Johnston, and Sarah Walker, all same family, kids, and all have a birthday within this week. Isn't that crazy? Or we have the data wrong.
So they get one big party.
Yeah, yep. And then finally, happy birthday to Michelle Minnick, our friend. Happy anniversary goes out to these.
Always lovely, always kind.
Yeah, she is. Always very encouraging, Michelle Minnick is, isn't she? Yeah.
She is.
And then happy anniversary to these people. Our very own staffer and Pax Center director, Jason Clemens, and his wife, Kathy Clemens. It's your anniversary today. Holla.
Just sweet kids. And look at you. Happy anniversary. We're so proud of you.
Yeah, we are. We're going to give Jason a big well, we can't really hug him because coronavirus we can't touch. But we're going to give him a big virtual hug when we see him.
Where's his advantage? He's not a big hugger.
No. That's why I like to tell people to hug him. He's not a big hugger. If I find out the thing that you really hate, I do exploit that.
Seems like a good pastoral thing to do.
I've told you this before. I'm the worst pastor in the world. I just found myself in this position. Okay. Jeff and Marilyn Belkowitz, it's your anniversary. Happy anniversary. Really like this couple.
Yeah,
and Marilyn was so helpful as we're dealing with some of these coronavirus policies going forward. As someone in healthcare, she's been super helpful for me and some of her feedback. Steve and Joelle and Nye, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
And cousin Mike and cousin Rachel Atwanowski, happy anniversary on the 24th. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
All right. So to everyone that had an anniversary, to everyone that had a birthday, we are grateful for you. We hope you have a good week. And
a shout out to Aubrey, whose birthday was last week that we missed.
Yeah, I do want to tell what happened there because I feel bad. We didn't have Aubrey's information. Aubrey Cavajola.
Aubrey's for us.
We did not have her information, and we missed the birthday. And then we felt like this.
17 years old. I cannot even believe it. I can't even believe it.
That watch our services or know anything about State Street, she plays the keyboard, but also she fiddles sometimes, and so we love her.
We like to play fiddle. Mm-hmm.
All right, you ready, Crain Train, for the question of the week? Hey, did you figure it out yet? Do you know what you're gonna? Because we talked a little bit about this.
Kind of.
Okay, so the question of the week.
I'm having
Okay, so the question of the week is, so Becky and I both like Marvel movies. However, I think I like it more than her. It's fair to say, but you do like them.
Very entertaining.
Yeah, but you don't have anybody to go with you anymore because your kids don't necessarily love Marvel movies anymore. Correct. Yeah. So my boys, not Nora so much, but my boys are like Marvel nuts, right? They love them, and I do too. They're fun. So we wanted to do a fun question this week, and the question of the week, and we want to hear your answer as well in the comments. What is your favorite and least favorite superhero film, and why? I'll invite you to go first. Do you have an answer for your favorite?
Okay, I was thinking about this because I do enjoy watching them because they're always it's classic good versus evil, and good always wins in the end, and I love that storyline. But I don't know if this one counts, but one that I thought was really, really cool was the Spider-Verse one, the cartoon, Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse. Does that count?
Oh yeah, no, that totally counts. It's a great one. Yeah.
I thought that was a super cool movie. I mean, I heard it was good, but it exceeded my expectations, and it was just so clever and just very well done. So agreed. I picked that as my favorite because it was surprising and it was different.
It was very different, and no, it was really, really well done. All right, do you have a least favorite Marvel, or it doesn't have to be Marvel, just any comic book movie?
I don't know.
You picked a good one earlier. Yeah, the Hulk.
Yeah,
the Hulk
I'm
is
really
terrible.
For that. I do like the Hulk character in the all the
Avengers.
The Avengers. I what's his name? Mark Ruffalo. I do like
Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, I know he does really well there. And by the way, you did not silence your phone like you're supposed to.
I didn't. That was Joe Ruiz texting me. So
Ruiz, Rammer educator. Okay, so here are my options, or here are my things. Anyway, let us preface this by saying that I do love comic book movies. I do love all of them, and I watch them, and I have a great time with my boys. My boys already this summer, the three of us went through the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe and watched all of them already this summer. So this is something probably more of a question for me. However, if I had to pick I think one of these two, either Captain America: Civil War or Black Panther. I loved Black Panther so much. I just thought it was so good. And I liked in Black Panther that they dealt with the idea that you can have people in your life that you love and that you've learned from and have been foundational in your formation as a person, but they might not be all good. And Black Panther had to come to that realization with his father, that his father may have wronged his uncle, these kind of things. And anytime there's a story that has kind of a nuanced layer of morality or just ethics, I really enjoy it. But also Captain America Civil War, I really loved because it was just this debate between right and wrong, and that heroes sometimes can be on the opposite side of what is best and what is wisest, because sometimes it's not self-evident. Sometimes it's not easy to pick a lane and know where to go. And so I like those. Now, the worst films, I haven't seen all of the comic book movies, but there was a really bad stretch in the early 2000s, and there were some really bad movies, but two of them particularly that I thought are terrible. And I've watched them a couple times just to see if they got any better in age, and they do not. And that is in 2003, Daredevil with Ben Affleck, Back Tattoo Ben. Back Tattoo Ben is what I'm going to call him. And then in 2004, Halle Berry made one called Catwoman, and it is awful. It is maybe the worst movie of all time. Awful. So I would put those two in the worst category. Maybe also Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds is terrible too. But yeah, no, it's a good thing you didn't. So
I like Ryan Reynolds. He's a cutie.
He's a cutie? Is that what you said?
I
hope Joel Crain doesn't listen to this. I don't want him to get jealous. But, Joel and Ryan Reynolds kind of look like.
Yeah, he can handle it.
So let's move into last Sunday. Last Sunday, we finished our Ruth series. I loved preaching this series. I got to say, I don't love preaching every series, if I'm being honest. And there are some series where I like the first week and I don't like the 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. But I really enjoyed this one. And what was ironic a little bit about it is I told you, if you remember back when we got to church, I said, I don't know what I have this week. I'm not sure. I feel like I'm repeating some things and all these kind of things. And I'm not sure if I have a strong sermon today or not. But then I got some feedback from some people that thought it was, one person said the best sermon they've heard, which I think is a little much. But or you just have only heard like 2 sermons. But it was very kind to say anyway. But it's sometimes funny how sometimes when you don't think you have a ton of maybe say good stuff to say, it still hits people in different ways. And that, God can communicate in whatever ways God wants. But so
just remind us that it's not about us.
It isn't. So anyway, Beck, what do you think of this series?
Yeah, I've always liked, I said this before, but I've always liked the story of Ruth, and I like how it tied in very nicely. We were able to tie it in very nicely with just what's been going on in our world and how, how we look at the other. And at the end of the day, it is a story about restoration.
Yeah.
And I love that it's these 2 women who, culturally shouldn't be able to do the things that they're doing. And yet, they were strong and they were good. And it's cool. I always love to see women doing that,
Yeah. And sometimes I think we don't, we talk here at State Street sometimes about letting the scriptures breathe and speak for themselves and things like that. And sometimes, though, we do have to go under the surface a little bit to see what's happening in the radical nature, I think, of what's happening. Because, again, we talked about this, that Ruth and Naomi are the ones that really put this plan into motion, though Boaz does a lot of the heavy lifting, obviously, because they wouldn't have even been able to be at the meeting, in the conversation. Right. But the plan is designed by these women, right? And put into place by these women. And I think that's just a really important point to the story, that the initial leadership and let's say the brainchild behind all of this was Naomi, maybe a little bit of Ruth as well, but of saying, this is what we're going to do and let's go do it. And I think, we talked about women who lead well, and I think that's a really important point, but men who follow well too is really, really an interesting part of that too, as Boaz does.
Yeah, it's an important part of being a good ally is learning how to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, Becky. Uh-huh.
I thought we were talking about women.
Oh, okay. And you had mentioned this a little bit too. I do love how, the story is so multifaceted. You've got these multicultural, multi-religious characters, Ruth and Naomi. Ruth comes from a different culture, a different language, a different religion background, and they learn to love each other and deeply love each other and care for each other. And I'm sure, the story is only 4 chapters, but I'm sure they didn't agree on everything. I'm sure, Ruth's background and Naomi's background conflicted. But what you see in the text is you have these 2 people who are concerned for the welfare of the other almost more than themselves, which I think is just really a beautiful way to look at life, to say, it's not just about me, it's about my neighbor as well. It's best for them. So, but anyway, I really love this series, and I really loved the story, kind of unpacking Ruth and Naomi. I'd not taught a series on Ruth and Naomi before, and it just taught me a lot about, like I said, determination and commitment and faith, and how important those things are, especially maybe in a time where commitment and faith and determination can be in short supply. So, especially also when the road ahead is very difficult, as justice often is, right? So, anyway, anything else to add to that about our series? We'll end our Ruth series and we pick up a new series, but is there anything else back that I'm forgetting?
Oh, I think you got it.
Perfect. All right. This Sunday, we start a new series, and I'm very excited about this series. I think it's going to be a great one. We're going to be back in the Gospels, obviously, and because back and forth from Old Testament to New Testament and things like that. But I think it's going to be, hold on, I'm trying to pull up a graphic for it. There we go. I think it's going to be a good one. And we're calling this series Breakthrough. And it's, it's just about essentially transformation. People that have had religious or spiritual or emotional breakthroughs in life, and that something happened to them or with them or for them that led to some kind of good thing, and that Christ was at the center of that. And so we're going to be studying that a little bit more. I think I have a graphic I can maybe share. I can. Yep. So I think, can you see that? Hopefully, anyway. So stories of radical change, breakthrough. We're going to start that this week, and I'm going to be preaching. We're going to look at 4 different people in the Gospels that experienced breakthrough. And we're going to be starting in John chapter 21, verse 7, and go from there. And I hope, again, that you can join us and participate. We're still online right now for a couple more weeks. And but in the meantime, join us online, listen to our podcast if you can't be with us live. And love to have you for it. So, but anyway, that's our next series coming up. Let me think. Okay, so announcements. We have been telling you that we've been asking you anyway to fill out these COVID-19 surveys that were on our website, and 130, I think, survey results, maybe a little more, came in from you about restarting our Sunday morning experiences. And your information and your input was valuable. I actually have it right here. Pretty interesting results. Lots of comments you can see here. We won't share them, though there's no names on it. But and then all kinds of just different, one of the things that we wanted to figure out is how many people are going to be here when we open, how many people are willing to help when we open and stuff like that. And it was just interesting to me to see some of the people. What I really loved about it, though, and we said this, I think, before, is how many people were willing to say, you know what, regardless of what the plan is or when the plan goes into motion, we trust the leadership, we trust the staff, and that we know that when we do meet in person, we're going to do the best we can to keep safe and to keep, risk mitigated as much as possible. There's no way to mitigate all risk, but as much as possible. And that meant a lot to me to read those comments and to see that. And then on Monday night, we, as a leadership team, met and we started talking about our plan a little bit in details. And then on Tuesday, the staff met to kind of maybe put a little bit of meat on those bones. And I think we've got the foundations of a good plan. I really do. It still needs a little bit of work. It's still in the rough draft plan, but I could say this without giving you the exact date. We are aiming to have our first in-person service. We'll have an exact date on that real soon here once we publicize everything. But those of you that are listening to the podcast know, just so you know, we are aiming in essentially 3 to 4 weeks, mid-July, having our first in-person gathering at State Street. And I think I can also tell you, this will be a phased-in thing. In the beginning, we will have our sanctuary and services and everything. We likely won't have children's ministry, though your kids are welcome to come, but we're going to all be in the sanctuary right away. And we're going to continue to clean things and be diligent and all of that. We're putting together volunteer teams to handle that in between services. And we're getting a lot of PPE and different things like that for our tables to make sure that everyone has what they need, that hand sanitizer and all of that, and all of the rows. The sanctuary will be socially distanced, all those kind of things that we're working on. And I think it's going to be good. I think we can manage this while mitigating quite a bit of risk. Beck, is there anything you want to add to that? Anything I'm forgetting? Anything you want to say to the people that filled out surveys or anything?
No, we appreciate your feedback, and we're continuing to have discussions, and we're excited. We're excited to move forward. Yeah, we are. I'm excited to see people, and I know here's what I'm fearful of, if I can be frank with you. People are handling this in different ways. And I do want, at State Street, one of our values is, honoring where other people are in their journey towards things. And so when we open up, some of our policies might look like a bit much to some people that might not be living as cautiously as some others. But we do it because this is how we love our neighbors. This is how we care for our neighbors. This is how we show our neighbors that they matter. And so one of the things I think that's challenged me the most in this season of life is to question my own kind of selfishness and my own independence, to say, yeah, I don't want to do that, but I know that it's best to do for the people around me. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that with that spirit, knowing that I think we can gather. I think we're going to be able to gather, but with the right precautions and the right guidelines going forward, and caring much about our neighbor. So, well, anyway, we'll be talking about that more and more. I'll be like I said, we've got the rough draft. Becky read most of the leadership team has it. I don't have full approval yet to publish them, but hopefully soon. And we will get that date and the guidelines out to you. Again, there's a lot we have to do in this building beforehand that we're getting ready for. We're also doing some other work, like tiling the ceiling in our sanctuary, and doing some other work to the building to get ready for everyone to be back. But it's going to happen. Anyway, other announcements. If you have driven over by the Brighton Street green space, you know that the road is getting, the sidewalk in the road is going to be replaced. And that over there is getting turned into angled parking and for the Brighton Street green space. And we're very excited about that happening. Our partners at the City of LaPorte have partnered with us on that to make sure that people who are coming to the garden have access to get there and park and stuff like that, especially safe parking.
Our garden team continues to garden at the 3 locations, one at Jackson Street Community Garden, one at the Brighton Street Green Space, and then we have a small garden at the Pax Center as well. Produce is coming off already, and we have a share table at the Jackson Street Community Garden where you can come and get produce for free. If it's there, grab it. It's yours. We want to just give produce away to anybody that wants it. It's fresh. It's good. And it's yours. Our garden team comes over there and picks 3 times a week to put on the tables. So every couple of days, there's a whole new stock of stuff from our Jackson Street Community Garden. Yeah, in the next couple of weeks, we'll start seeing some more movement at Brighton Street Green Space. We've got pea gravel coming in. We've got to go around the boxes. We'll have fences. We'll have all kinds of good stuff, sidewalks, water, and all of that stuff is coming in. They're working on getting sewer to the barn. So it's happening. It's coming together. The community meal at the Pax Center is open. The food pantry is open. So we've slowly went from, I think, kind of shut down to opening back up to the safest way we can, with kind of keeping as many guidelines as possible to keep people safe. So yeah, that's what's happening right now at State Street and the Pax Center and Brighton Street Green Space. And we will end with this. Pastor Becky, share something with the group. It is show and tell time. You stole my thing and put it on the Facebook. I'm not happy about that, but I will forgive you.
I talked to you about that first.
Yeah, maybe, but you didn't like publicize it though. You literally right before we went to record this podcast, you posted the thing I'm going to share on the Facebook, and you cut my knees out from under me. But go ahead.
You want to talk about it? Well, why you chose?
What?
What we're talking about. Most people don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, everyone's gonna think it's dumb now. No, so I will share mine. Brené Brown has a podcast. Brené Brown's a wonderful source for social emotional stuff, and I just like Brené Brown, and she has a podcast, and one of the podcasts is on her most recent podcast anyway is with Ibram X. Kendi, and Ibram X. Kendi is a academic on racial issues and stuff like that. Has a couple of really great books out. If you go to Amazon, you can look them up. But also, if you YouTube him, you can see what he's done as well. But I learn something every time he talks, and I grow in, I believe, becoming a better person when I listen and learn from him. And that podcast was one of them. You know, one of the things that I'm learning, and I think we may have talked about this before back on a different podcast, is separating people's value and morality from the racist question. Do you know what I'm saying? And one of the things that Ibram X. Kendi does is one of the things that is really risky for us is to say, okay, I'm a racist, or that person's a racist, and we immediately think then they're a bad person, right? They are a morally bad person. And one of the things he does is he tries to separate the idea that racism equals bad, because if that's the case, nobody is ever going to truly confront their own racism, right? To be vulnerable here, I remember, as you know, I love my mom's mom, my grandmother, Grandma P. We called her. Her last name was Peterson, but with all my heart. And my parents are teen parents, and they really kind of helped raise us. And you know, my grandmother was born and raised in Rolling Prairie her whole life, and she would talk about a friend of hers that she worked at American Home Foods, and she would call her a colored woman. And you know, there's these like obviously racist undertones, but you know, my grandmother would say things that were unquestionably racist at times. But she would talk about her dear friend that she loved, that was just for her colored. And it's hard because I know my grandmother, and my grandmother was a lovely woman. And what helps me to say is her struggle with race in that situation does not make her a moral monster. It just makes her a product of a world in which she lived in. I don't think my grandmother was intentionally racist. I don't think she tried to be. I don't think she knew at the time of saying that. Maybe she did. I hope not anyway, that she was being racist. But I just like the disconnect there, because I think so many of us get very offended when we have to get vulnerable to question our own racism. And I think racism is just biases, right? Biases and ugly kind of preferential things and all these different things that come into making us. And I think it's good for all of us to peel back the layers and to see where that's at. And so anyway, I like all that to say, I like Ibram X. Kendi a lot. Did you know that both of his parents retired and became pastors?
I didn't. That doesn't surprise me to listen to him talk, because I'm on that train right now. He's fantastic. And I just ordered his book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, which is on back order because everyone's ordering that book. And I ordered his other book, Stamped by Birth. I think that's what it's called, Stamped. There's a longer title, but I ordered that for my son to read, which I'm going to read it too. But which, as far as what I'm listening to, he's at the top of my list right now. And I finally watched Just Mercy this week.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Oh, it was, heartbreaking, but so good. And I bought that book this week too.
Had you not read it yet?
I haven't. No.
Brian Stevenson is my guy. I love him so much. Never met him, but he's my hero.
Yeah. And you watch things like that, and it just it physically makes me angry when some of the just blatant injustice that, and then he wins. He ends up winning that case at the end, but how many other cases are lost? How many other lives are lost, from the pushback? And it was just so good. So good.
If you're looking for more information about that, go to the Equal Justice Initiative on Facebook and follow them. Worth a follow. They're doing great work at getting people who are innocent on death row off of death row, and because there are too many of those cases where people didn't get the right treatment in the justice system, and they didn't have the right money, they didn't have the right connections, and they were wrongfully accused and convicted of wrong
death. And I know you shared a story of that earlier this week, which
and to break your heart.
It does. And it should be breaking all of our hearts.
What I think too is hard for me is I didn't grow up hearing these stories, and I think I should have. Do you know what I mean? I should have heard more of these stories in school. And I went to a predominantly white school in a rural area. But I feel like we like George Stinney and some more, other than, obviously you hear about Martin Luther King Jr., you hear about Rosa Parks, but there's these really other ones that don't have the same. I think we we share the stories of the ones that end up more happy, right? I'm not saying Martin Luther King Jr. ended up happy, but obviously civil rights legislation and everything often is connected to what Martin Luther King Jr. did. George Stinney, if you go to my Facebook page, you can see some about that. There's no, there was no good outcome of that. He died. He got killed for a crime he didn't commit. The youngest person in that state of Alabama or Mississippi, I forget which one, died in the electric chair. And for years and years and years, nothing ever happened, right? Nobody ever really did anything with it. And so we don't talk about those cases that are just more ugly, that I think we should, because it's painful and it's hard, and there's not a good resolution to them, but they are our history, and I think it's good to listen to them. So is that what you're sharing, Beck? Are you sharing? Are you encouraging people to go watch Just Mercy?
Yes.
All right, good choice. I watched that for the first time the other day too. I had read the book a couple of times, but well worth the read as well. Also, if you're just looking for something and you're out and about on the YouTubes, just look for Brian Stevenson and watch his TED Talk, and it'll it's life-changing. It's really good. So, all right, everyone, we've got nothing left to talk about, nothing left to add. We miss you guys. Be paying attention to some of the stuff we're going to put out for our reopening plan. Like I said, I think we got the rough draft done. I think we've got most of the strategy figured out, and we'll put a date, which will be in mid-July, out to the public. And we expect, we expect people to be excited about it. And hopefully we'll see you soon. We care about you. We love you guys, and we can't wait to see you. And we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.